I think we're live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this new Fireside hang. So now you're used to it. Every Wednesday, we meet. We have uh, we have guests now who come from the Midnight ecosystem and talk about what they are building on Midnight or why they're excited about Midnight. So today we have Sergey and Imans from Brick Towers. So they are the winners of the hackathon that we organized during the Midnight Summit last week in London. So one of our biggest hackathons of the year. They won the first prize with their app. So today they came to talk about Brick Towers. So we're going to learn more about what they do, what they work on, and we are also going to talk about the app that they built for to win the hackathon. So first, hello, Sergey and Imans. How you doing? Start
Hello,
with
hello.
that.
Very excited as always.
Okay, great. Okay, you're muted, Imans.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. Okay, so yeah, maybe if you could start by introducing yourself. Sergey, would you like to start?
All right. Well, difficult. I didn't prepare myself, but I'll try. So I'm the co-founder of Brick Towers, a CTO as well. So I've been a developer since very early days of my childhood. So got into programming very early. So basically, since when I was 7 years old and until now. So have very different background, working for different industries. And and a few years ago, we have founded Brick Towers. We are trying to disrupt the long-term savings solutions, but on a blockchain.
Okay, great. Yeah. What about you, Imans?
Yeah, very similar. Have been technically inclined from the very early days. I think the dispute is still not settled whether my first word was mama or auto. But yeah, I was always attracted to technology and things. So yeah, learned programming in very early days. Wanted to make my own video game. I think I never really succeeded to a complete game. There was just a lot of prototypes on the way, and yeah, basically have been software developer for my whole life. In also different industries, we share like 3 or 4 previous workplaces with Sergey, so we're very well established team already by this time, and yeah, now working on Brick Towers projects together.
Yeah, that sounds great. Well, I have a question. When you say that you started programming at a young age, in general, developers are ashamed of the first language that they started with. I started with PHP, I'm not ashamed. So what is the first language that you coded with, Sergey?
So for me, it was actually basic. It was I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's this type of computer. It was ZX Spectrum, which was the basic embedded, and that was my first programs were written in basic. Yeah.
Sounds great. What about you, Imans? First language?
Yeah, very similar, just on a different hardware. It was some sort of the Soviet computer with BASIC as well, and then moved on to PC and Pascal and tried a bit of a C. I it somehow didn't caught up at all. Yeah, and then moved on to other things later.
Interesting. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Brick Towers. I don't know who would like to give us more information about what you do at Brick Towers. So, what is the scope of the company, what you deal with, what kind of products you have, maybe how long you've been working together at Brick Towers, and maybe Sergey, would you like
So,
to?
yeah, I'm actually I don't like this part of saying what we are doing in Brickhouse. For that we have
Why is
actually
that secret? Is that secret?
No. Just we have different responsibilities, you know.
Oh,
So
okay.
I mean, the company is founded 2.5 years ago already, almost. Um, we have founded. We share with co-founders. We are four co-founders. We share actually. Uh, Again, old job. So we were working for Leontech. It's a company here in Switzerland, which is the very known. Used to be a unicorn in the traditional finance, doing some kind of structured products, and we were working in the pension solutions business. So basically, we were already back then focusing on the savings solutions, and this is and we thought, okay, we would like to have actually decentralized solutions so that people will have some demand in the in Switzerland's very uh, the centralized governance in Switzerland is implemented, I think, very well. It works here, so we believe that it's more and more in the future people will demand for also decentralized finance, not just traditional finance, which are, with traditional banks, which are trying to hide the fees and the structures. So we know this stuff, and that's what made us found the brick towers. Maybe Imans, you can add a bit more.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, if
and
you want to tell
then
us what you do at Brick Towers.
yeah. Yeah, we are evolving. So we started with staking as a service. We basically offer staking services on Ethereum, and we are working. Well, basically, we run the testnet nodes for Midnight and Cardano as well. So we plan to launch. Yeah, when the mainnet launches with Midnight as well. And then the main focus really is Herbal, our product. It's a mobile app to manage your long-term savings at the moment, and the overall plans is to basically expand the offerings such that you can do all your personal finance over time there.
Okay, great. Yeah, do you want to talk a little bit more about Orbol? So, for how long have you been running the apps? Is it already public, or are you still working on it?
So we are working on it. We have now given it to the first test group of users, which is a bit larger than just us in the company. So I think you will hear about a bit more in the coming weeks. Yeah, we need to basically do the final QA steps and then release it to public.
Okay,
we,
great. Yeah,
we
yeah, go ahead.
we actually have a waiting list for the users who would like to basically see the app first. So please follow the link, and you'll find the waiting list.
Great. Do you integrate Midnight in the app, or is that something separate that you work on?
So that's a work in progress. So we have started. There are a few things missing on the mobile support for actually for us to roll it out. So yeah, we're looking forward these to be sorted and then yeah, enable Midnight in the app as well.
Okay, great. So talking about Midnight, can you tell us a little bit more about like your history with Midnight? So when did you first heard about it? How did you join the ecosystem?
So, I mean, what's important to know, like the background of like us looking at it at the Midnight, is that we are building an app which would allow to save with your family, with your friends in the app. So for the long term savings, it's not just a wallet. It's a it's an application where you're gonna have your stable coins, your cryptocurrencies, some yield products in the same app, and you're going to save together with your family. You can have an account for your children, and then you can take over the custody of the money. So that's a non-custodial wallet. Well, non-custodial solution. We don't call it wallet. And obviously, at the moment, blockchains are public, so everything uh, is visible. Basically, everyone can see what you own. If they know your public address, they're gonna see how much money you have, how do you spend. That's not what people want in the end. So we would need to have some privacy solution in the future. So people need privacy solution. This is how we were following what's going on in the space, and we found out about Midnight. Basically, well, actually, Imans learned it a bit earlier than me. I learned it like maybe end of last year, or like let's say third quarter last year. And yeah, we were looking at the space and saw the hackathon opportunity. So the first one, which we actually decided to try out to see what's possible, what's not possible, if it's the mature technology or not yet. And like there were already messages around that the midnight is going mainnet soon, and we decided to try. It was the sea battle game, as some of you might know.
Yeah, I do remember it. Yeah. There was one of the first like great application on Midnight to win a hackathon, so it was very exciting. Also, we have Raf who joined just now. Raf, so I'm very excited to have you because we don't really see you in that kind of interview. It's always like Sergey and Imans. Not that I complain about it, but it's would be it would be also interesting, to hear your voice. Like if you want to introduce yourself and tell us more about you and what you do at Brick Towers.
Perfect. Great. Am I on air and you can hear me?
You have like
Yes, we
Yes,
can
a
hear
lot
you.
of noise coming from your background.
Sorry about that. Yeah, the first time I'm here on this, so apologies for that. I will change my. I hope now it's better.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's a lot better.
Excellent. Okay. Yeah, great to be here. To be honest, Sergey mentioned it would be good also from my side to join you guys. And I think this is a regular hangout. Reason why you don't see me that regularly is I'm, let's say, more on the business, on the CEO side of things. So we are at this stage with Brick Towers still a very small bootstrapped founder team, and having to juggle many different disciplines and things at the same time. So you need to split a bit and have certain things that one does more than the other. And for me, the first large exposure to the whole Midnight team and experience was this Midnight Summit last week in London. And I have to say, I've been in the crypto space, if you can call it like this, for about 8, 9 years now, having been on many different types of conferences, mostly so far in the Bitcoin and in the Ethereum space, to be frank. And the organization, the orchestration, the execution, and also kind of the vibe and the atmosphere during the summit was just mind blowing. I was very much impressed and very happy to have been able to attend, and also have plenty of really meaningful discussions, and really seeing that we're now maturing with this industry into, let's say, a new category where you can basically from the past build up things that really matter, that really bring on more the institutional side. And for us, being or coming from the traditional finance side, knowing about the advantages of it and the disadvantages, and seeing that gaps are now more and more filled on the privacy side, is a huge motivator for us to really build and advance on the Midnight side for Brick Towers, to be honest. So I'm really glad to be part of it.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Yeah, yeah. The privacy thing is becoming bigger and bigger. Like there are a lot of blockchains that are trying to adopt it. I think there was an announcement on Ethereum by Vitalik that he wants also to introduce privacy in the blockchain. So yeah, that's something that's getting some momentum, and a lot of blockchain are adopting it. So it's very interesting to join
Yep.
it at the moment. Yeah. Yeah, talking about the summit. So before we start talking about the app that you built, I think it would be interesting to have your experience at the summit. So Raf, you already shared a little bit about what you thought about the summit. Sergey and Imans as hackers, how was your experience? Is there something that you liked, the most during those 3 days of the summit, outside of
Yeah.
meeting me? But
That's actually one of the main points, like meeting Midnight Team, which we only interacted online so far. It was great, but overall, like completely surreal 3 days, like trying to pack in a bit of everything, like listening to people, some workshops on improvements, doing the hackathon for ourselves, helping others a bit, mining night during the the whole hackathon, all the experience there.
great,
Lot
Sergey.
of
And meeting Claude, you.
Of
Yes,
course.
of course. Well, for me, I joined slightly earlier than Imans. I was there already on Sunday, and I joined immediately after my flight, the party, which was organized, like the pre-party. And it was absolutely amazing. So I met lots of the guys from the Discord who know me. I know them, and we never kind of saw each other, and it was really cool to meet so many people in person, and so nice people as well. Yeah, lots of good words were said, and it was really cool.
Yeah, that's true. That's one of the benefits. Now the summit. I also met a lot of people that I only interacted online with, like probably Stephanie is probably listening. So yeah, it was amazing to meet her in person. But also a lot of developers were on Discord or on the forum. So yeah, the summit was that opportunity to meet those people. Is there someone that you were looking for to meet at the summit?
Yes, I mean we had a list we were going through.
Okay.
Basically, we met everyone which we could imagine we need to meet.
Mm.
Starting with people on the shielded side, like all the authors, the scientists behind the papers, uh, behind the Kachina paper, Thomas and Markov, and then obviously Charles. Of course, we met Charles as well, and then we met all the people behind many different departments within Midnight Foundation and Shielded. That was amazing.
Okay, great. Raf, maybe from the business side, is there someone that you met, like maybe who came with an idea on Midnight or something interesting, like that you picked up at the summit, some interesting idea or interesting app, that people are working on?
Yeah, I mean, I think I want to be very transparent and honest from my side, because this overall space is still at its early stage, and there's a lot of things that people have in mind from a conceptual point of view, but not yet clear how and when this can be put into practice using, for example, Midnight. It's really more on this conceptual stage that I discussed topics. And I think the one thing that stuck with me most was the discussion I had with, I think, Dan Singleman from Charles Hoskinson's family office after his panel that he had with some others, where this whole question around what kind of tokenization of real world assets will happen in the next few years, what kind of impact it will have on TradFi, and what kind of changes this brings to the overall investment universe. And there are these two different views. The one view is tokenizing existing financial instruments that are already in a very efficient and also relatively cheap way implemented, end-to-end processing, absolutely automated and very well designed, the pure tokenization does not necessarily bring a huge benefit when it comes to traditional financial instruments. However, as the typical situation happens when you innovate and when you bring stuff onto blockchains, then very naturally you find new ways of doing things and better ways of doing things. And one of the examples that I found a bit interesting was this idea of tokenizing along different verticals inside a business so that you can get exposure not only, let's say, for example, to the full stock of Coca-Cola, but maybe only to the Diet Coke vertical. And you find ways in which you can emit products that structure such a relative part of the business compared to the overall part. And there, I think, if you imagine the tokenization aspect is quite pronounced in its benefits. And with us, with Brick Towers and the work we do on Herbal, as we want to be in that space, and we don't want to be considered only as a crypto company, but as a company that really brings on savings and savings accounts on chain natively. The investment universe is, of course, one of the major important topics for us, and also there to be part of this innovation stream. So this was for me, I think, one of the most interesting topics to be discussed.
Very interesting. So you mentioned real world assets. So we are going to transition to the app that you built. But first, if someone wants to explain what they are, how you work with them, how you use them in a blockchain environment. So there are probably people listening and they don't really know what they are and what you can do with them. I don't know who would be the best to talk about real world assets.
Yeah, don't,
Sergey is,
Ralph, maybe you
Sergey is
want to
looking
give
like
some
not me,
intro?
not me, not.
I mean, I can just start maybe my
Yeah,
view on
sure.
it, and then you can extend. So,
Yeah.
I mean, real world assets is a very generic term, right? And you can basically have many different things under this helmet. But I or we look mostly on it in terms of financial instruments. And we have already a number of different types of financial instruments on chain. The major one is, of course, stable coins that everyone here knows already with a relatively long track record on different major public blockchains. And that kind of showed that this whole on-chain movement of something that is off-chain and brought onto blockchains has actually a huge benefit in terms of distribution, in terms of market reach, opening up new ways of doing things than before. Because if you look at Tether, at Circle, they have reached a certain market adoption in regions worldwide where in the retail space, people would not otherwise get exposure to dollars, right? And one step further, you're talking about any kind of other financial instrument that could be brought on chain and therefore tokenized and structured in different ways. And we are mostly interested in things that build up a diversified portfolio of investments. So my background is mathematical finance. So I'm a huge fan of diversification. And I think if you want to structure a proper savings account for the long term, you need to have diversification. If you look in the on-chain space, this means that you need a fair representation of anything that happens at the moment off-chain, also on-chain. So you need to have a representative class of stocks, of bonds, of funds, real estate, commodities that you can invest in, and also self-custody. That's, in my opinion, one of the major breakthroughs of this blockchain technology to achieve that. And there are quite some strides that are made in the space on different chains, different protocols, but it's not easy because there's a big difference between issuing a wrapper. So you have the actual traditional financial instrument already in existence, and you have an on-chain version that tracks, that maps to such an instrument, like the stablecoins, for example. They are not natively issued on-chain. Of course, we have the the whole way where you put in collateral with like Bitcoin, Ether, ADA, and you then borrow stablecoin against. That's a different form, but just the natural form of cash is not on chain, right? And if you look at the space at the moment, most of the things are happening is that you have a tokenized version of something already existing, and you build some kind of an SPV, a special purpose vehicle around it, you tokenize it, and that then does not represent the actual asset. It represents an IOU on the actual asset. And we want to get into a world where issuers issue natively those assets on chain. And that's exactly where I believe Midnight will have a huge role in the future to enable that in terms of privacy and in terms of selective disclosure. So it was a bit
Okay,
longer. I'm sorry.
No, it was great. Yeah, it was very informative. So I think now everybody has a better idea of what real world assets are. So now we can transition to the app that you built for the hackathon. So if first, if you want to explain what the app does, so how it's related to real world assets, how you came up with that idea.
Yeah, maybe let me take now from where Ralph left off. So even though if you issue these assets directly there, I think there is still this fundamental trust problem which you need to solve. I mean, with the native tokens on the blockchain, the trust comes from the blockchain itself. But however, with anything else living in the real world, you always have some sort of an issuer, and then you need to form a certain trust relationship there, such that these assets are correctly represented on chain. So this could have been one direction where we could have gone, though this was not really the highlight of kind of the Midnight functionality. I mean, this is being done on many chains in a relatively straightforward way, that you have an issuer which actually holds the real asset, and they have the rights to mint the representative tokens on chain. So in our model for this solution, we have basically two roles. We have an issuer, and then we have an accredited investor who can then transact with the asset on chain. So we took an example, a hedge fund, which is a regulated security and usually requires an accredited investor to be able to buy and hold these assets in the traditional finance. And just moving the representation of the blockchain doesn't change that fact. It's still a representation of the same asset, so you need to be compliant. So our story goes more around the compliance and how can you do this accreditation on chain and do it in a maximally privacy preserving way, such that you don't overshare this information. So in the solution itself, you will actually see the two or maybe even three parts. You will see how the issuer issues the token, basically the minting part in the code, how you can mint tokens on Midnight. And then there is the accreditation part, where the user goes through the necessary steps to get accredited, and then they get access to trading. And normally that would be an external DEX, which would need to be integrated. And here we made basically the simple first issuer example where you can directly buy from the issuer this asset and then sell it back. And maybe then on a bit more how it maps to the code, Sergey could walk you through.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So just to sum up, so the app is so you use the app like to exchange those assets, and you preserve the identity of whoever the owner is at that time. Am I correct?
Yes, so in order to buy the asset for the first time from the issuer, you need to prove that you are compliant, that you are eligible, and so you go through a series of checks. So first, you need to prove the knowledge of the basically the market of the asset you are entering in. So the representation of this is like a quiz where you demonstrate that you fully understand what you are buying, and then the second part is you are obliged to be of a certain wealth to be able to buy these risky or more risky assets. So we do a wallet balance check where you prove that you have enough funds and it's not your last paycheck for food you are spending on these assets. And then the third part is identity related things like maybe you need to be in a certain jurisdiction and prove your nationality, basically who is issuing your passport, and then checking the age and things like that, which you could do with passport data.
Okay. Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I think everybody now understand what the app does. So it's time for it's the most exciting part of the of that talk is looking at some code. So Sergey, do you want to show us? So like just a quick walkthrough, like I don't want to get too technical, but just to have an idea about like how the app is structured, you know, like what does what, so we can also have an idea, a better idea of how the app works, you know, through the code. You're muted. I can't hear you.
All right, sorry for that. So the link of the code base, I guess you're gonna see later here. Just watch the stream; it will be shared. So all the code is available in GitHub. I'll just start. I don't know. I can maybe spend like few hours, basically explaining the contract, but yeah, we'll just try to. I'll be jumping from circuits to circuit, functions to functions, but
Yeah, thank you very much.
yeah, let me start. So basically, the very first important part is the witness functions, which which are the functions, or like I don't know actually, they're witnesses. It's maybe not correct to call them functions, but you can imagine these are like functions which are being accessed from your smart contract into your client-side application, which you run in your browser. Or, for example, if in the future it will be something on the mobile side. So this runs by the user who is executing those circuits, not by any server. So it's not the server side. The local secret key is very known pattern of very typical pattern in Midnight to get some secrets so that you can use that secret to identify yourself in some way. So it's not a public key of your wallet, but it's just some random 32 bytes array which you can use to for the secret which nobody knows, but this is required for you to hide some information later on the on-chain. And a few auxiliary functions, which we're going to talk about later. Then there is a section with the ledger information. I will skip that too, so that we can go through that ledger information from the constructor side. So the contract is being deployed by actually the issuer, who is like issuing those assets on chain. So and there is some information required to initialize that. So random nonce, this is again some cryptography related terminology, which I'm not gonna explain. This is needed for again hiding some information from. So yeah, basically hiding information from people from something which is going to be saved on the ledger state. Quiz hash is actually a hash of the right quiz result. So the quiz which you're going to be presented, which is a set of questions. Well, for the hackathon, we have some shortcuts, obviously, so that we didn't implement it fully end to end, the production ready app yet, but it highlights the idea. So the quiz result stores the correct results for questions from 1 to 6, and the hash of the quiz is basically a hashed result which you can then check against whether the user who went through the quiz, he answered all the questions correctly. Then there is as a constructor an issuer. That's the admin issuer. So the very first issuer user who's gonna be administrating the issuers. What we also need to check is this identity provider public key. This is required to check the signature, to verify the signature of the credentials of the user. So the passport of the user is being signed by the key, and the public key part is provided as well as the input, because this is the identity provider which we're gonna trust, who issued those credentials, which we're going to be checking against. And the token which is being used, we again reuse the same idea with so-called Brick Towers coin, so TBTC. So this is required as well to, so the TBTC address is the address of the smart contract where TBTC is being minted. I'm not going to show you this. This is a typical just mint coin contract, which just mints the coin. We also deployed, as in all our previous hackathons, a faucet where you can mint that coin for yourself. So we believe it's like a valuable asset, like it's something which you're going to be using to buy hedge fund coin. And obviously we need to check whether the coin is of correct color. So the color is like type of the token which you're being issuing. It's basically you can get it by I'm not sure I'm going to dive deep into details, but it's basically the type which is going to be used. So this contract is already hard coding the result of the coin which is going to be valuable. So that pair, valuable asset. And we have 3 other things, which is like countries which we would accept as being in the list of countries which are like compliant, as well as the age of the actual user, which should be at least 18 years old. The very first simple function is adding another issuer, so that this is for the administrator to add other users issuers. It goes through it adds the user into the Merkle tree. So this Merkle tree allows you to anonymize who is actually doing an action. So you again, there's like in the documentation, there is a good article explaining this pattern. I think it's called How to Keep Data Private, and there the Merkle tree is being used. So just check this out. I'm not going to explain you all the details here, but basically this pattern allows you to add additional issuers, and also making sure that the user who is actually issuing is not known from the transaction, so it's being shielded. The first circuit which is being called in the world kind of let's say it like the workflow is minting this hedge fund coin or hedge fund token. So obviously this circuit must be called by the issuer. So there is this check which goes to the circuit, which is, by the way, not exported. So it's not being kind of available on the client side to be called directly. So it's, I guess, by the compiler, it's just inlined. And the user can actually mint the token, and this token is minted, is being locked in the same contract. So it's not being provided to the user, it's being locked by writing it on the ledger. So that's a good time to look at the ledger. So the ledger, it can store two types of tokens. It can store this hedge fund token and BTC, TBTC, Brick Towers coin token. Mind the type of that ledger. It's a qualified coin info. That's the token which is being stored on the ledger. That's why it's called qualified coin info. I don't know, like maybe like where the qualified comes from, but when the token becomes written on a ledger, it gets that type. Now there's a typical pattern how to mint the token in Midnight, in Compact. So you need to have your nonce, and then you need to evolve that nonce so that every coin has a unique, so it's being randomized so that you can't follow, basically it's again some technique which is used to shield the coin, shield some information about the coin, and then it's being written on the ledger, so the token is minted on the contract and being locked in that contract. These are like auxiliary functions. So this time in this hackathon, we didn't actually use, we didn't have much time, obviously, and that was on-site hackathon, and we could not split the code into functions. So everything almost everything in a single contract. So that is why, there is some auxiliary functions which are being used. There are some interesting patterns here, which for developers might be useful, is that whenever you write a coin on a ledger, if you write the coin which is being received from the user, so it's a coin info type, you actually, before you're writing it on the ledger, you may need to merge it with the one which is on the ledger. So you have this merge coin immediate function, which allows you to merge that thing. And then you need to also specify who this coin belongs to. So whether it's a user or the contract. So there are some repetitions here, in a sense that you not everything is still possible to write nicely or reuse. So but I guess this is like the language is evolving fast, so I guess this kind of thing's going to be provided soon as well. Then another action which is done still by the issuer is that the issuer need to provide the liquidity in the BTC coin. So he needs to give his BTC coin so that it's also locked and available for the user to be traded. So we also write that information. You can see that it's almost the same pattern. Now, when it comes to about the user, we actually, so the user can buy this hedge fund token. And in order to buy, he needs to be authorized. So what we do here is, again, we do is authorized send. And this is authorized send is being checked in the Merkle tree, whether that user or that recipient of that token is in that Merkle tree. So what does it mean? It means that the user must be onboarded. So before user can buy that hedge fund token, he needs to be onboarded into that contract. That's why I will jump into the onboarding part. Well, I call it onboarding, but it's actually accreditation. So maybe the name of that circuit is not great, but again, we were very short in the time. So here now you see an onboard function, which is split into actually 4 parts. So the first one is that we check that, so the onboard accepts the quiz result. Basically, the user gonna provide the result of the quiz answers. So if that quiz is not correct, the circuit won't execute. So it won't be doing anything actually. So that would just fail on the client side, and that's it. Then we check the identity. Identity is being provided as a signed credential of the passport data. About that a bit later. And then we also check the coin value. So how do we check the coin value? It's the actual user balance. So what we say is that the user must have some positive balance, maybe some, well, in our case, we check that the user should have at least 100 TBTC token. So that means that this circuit needs to get the user balance. So if you would want to change it in a way that we would like to have some USD or CHF stable coins, that would all need to come into an input of that circuit. So what happens after actually executing that circuit is that the coin which you give it to that contract is actually being spent, and out of that spent transaction you get but you get it back. So it's being spent, but you get the same amount back by the smart contract. Again, another pattern. I think maybe it's not very nice that it's actually changing the ledger state, but it also kind of is doing it in a shielded way. So here we also check that you actually provided TBTC coin and not something else. And whenever you receive a token, you also need to call receive. It's another kind of standard library function, which you need to call so that all the inputs and outputs being synchronized for that call. And then in the very end, we just send it back to the user who actually calls that circuit. So it's being sent immediate back to the wallet. So in terms of the balance, user doesn't have any change. In terms of some UTXOs, they're being split. But that actually works. And then when the identity is being checked, you're being added to this authorizations Merkle tree, back to the pattern with the Merkle trees, where you're being basically that allows again to hide information about the user who is buying hedge fund token. Yeah. And now the next important bit is the identity check. Basically, identity check, the way it works is that we have an issuer who is actually checking the passport and signs this with the signature. So it gets with the signed by the signature. So at the moment, Midnight supports doesn't support like all the typical cryptography to check typical signatures. So at the moment, there's only job curve based schema based signature checks available. There are some issues even with that, some known issues. Developers of Midnight are working on it, but obviously, as always, there are some workarounds. So there is some overflow into the field value, the maximum value of the field. And yeah, we found a workaround how to kind of fix that. So in that sense, the contract is actually working as it should. Just like with the division, in compact division is not supported, but there is always a workaround that you can actually do that off chain and then make sure to check that it was divided properly. And that basically gives you a working division. So the code for that signature is also available in the same repo. It's another file. It's quite detailed cryptography. If you use AI tools, you're gonna get almost the same kind of code to get the signature done. You can have a look. Another important bit as well is that so what no, I will jump back now to the buy part. So because I was explaining you that it needs to be authorized, and we checked through the code how you can be authorized, and now this is authorized send is going to be successful for that call because you are part of that Merkle tree. And after that, you can actually well, we check that the input coin which you provided is of the right color so that we accept TBTC token. We write that on the ledger, so we remove that from the user. So the user spent that much of the coin, and then we give him back the hedge fund token. Another important thing which you need to always, when you work with the token, even if you send the token, the send gives you the change. There is a change result back. That's the actually custom. Oops, sorry. Yeah, send result. So actually, that's just another helper function. So helper circuit. Maybe it's not needed to be exported as well. But yeah, you get some change. Otherwise, if there's no change, you get a default constructor of the same coin, and you again actually need to receive the change. So I was here, yes. Sorry, yeah. You also need to call this receive for the change. Otherwise, you might have some interesting side effects, bugs in the coming from the node without good description at the moment. And obviously, we write back the change to the contract because we need to remember how much did we receive. That's it on the high level. I think another important bit is actually that whenever you send the token, so the current native tokens in Midnight are not programmable. Well, neither Cardano tokens are. So, but there is a way, or there will be a way when Midnight developers implement that, so that the token which is being issued from that contract maybe would have a function, a circuit, which can be called for when this token is being spent. So even though it's in the Midnight, it's not possible at the moment, but we anticipate that, and that would allow basically making sure that the token is being sent only to the users who are also onboarded. So we assume that this circuit here would be called for each sent or spent of that coin. And that would check again, basically in the same Merkle tree, whether you're being authorized or not. Yeah. I think that's it on the high level.
Someone was just saying that Sergey's high level. It was a bit more than high level, I would say, but incredible insights, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it's also very interesting to see how the contract works, like above all with tokens. So it's not something that maybe other developers are familiar with. So and there's not a lot of documentation about tokens. So it's very insightful, to see how it works and how it's implemented in Compact. Yeah, thank you very much, Sergey. So I think that's going to be it for this session. Unless someone would like to add something before we close. No? Perfect. Yeah, so
I mean, if someone has questions, we can maybe answer something if you have a few minutes. But yeah, I think the story is complete.
yeah. And yeah, I think maybe also the questions can be asynchronous. So
Yeah.
we're going to see them online.
I'm
and
actually
we can.
very often consulting people in Discord, so feel free to tag me in Discord. We're happy to help you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Sergey, Imans, and Raf for coming and for your time today. And thank you for everybody who listened to this Fireside Hang. And we'll see you next week. Thank you very much.
Thanks
Thank
a
you.
lot.
Bye
Thank you.
bye.